Hey guys, welcome to JPT. I'm Carson G and this is Just Plain Tech. In today's video, this is the second beginner's guide video. We're going to introduce you guys to Debian. Let's get into it. Okay, so Debian is basically the grandpa of Linux distributions. It's one of the very first Linux distributions, and most distributions are based off it. Many Linux distributions are based off Debian, or are based off something, which is based off something, or something and something, which is based off Debian. So, most distributions are somehow based off Debian, so Debian is pretty much the grandpa of Linux, is what you could say, I guess. It's available for 32-bit and 64-bit computers. I mean, duh. It's, what would you call it? Its slogan is the Universal Operating System. So, if your slogan is the Universal Operating System, you've got to have at least 32-bit and 64-bit x86. Which is what they have for desktop downloads. They have so many more architectures for server downloads. They got like ARM, x86, some more that I've never heard of. So, yeah, it's definitely a good choice for server and a really good choice for desktop as well. Let's go over some things that might prevent you from getting Debian. A few, like, the first and foremost might be their website is confusing, which this is actually the reason that I did not get Debian for a while. I'm a distro hopper sometimes. I like to go check other distros, check them out, and sometimes install them on my computer. Not normally. I usually just keep what I have on my computer. But I'm a distro hopper, so of course I go around and check other distros. The reason that I didn't get to checking out Debian until a couple months ago was simply because their website was hard to navigate. The first time I went there, I downloaded a server image thinking it was a desktop live CD. And I found that out. I found out that it was just a server image when I tried to boot it on my computer. And I'm like, yeah, I'll get back to this later, so. But I did eventually figure out how to get to the hybrid ISO live CDs of their website, which I will leave the link to those in the description below, so you don't have to go through all that stress, because their website does look a bit outdated compared to Ubuntu's website or Linux Mint's website. Their website looks a little bit outdated, and it may be hard to navigate, so the link to those will be in the description below. Maybe you've gotten to the hybrid ISO file area where you can download them, and then you're confronted with this. You get choice. Basically, it's like, which desktop environment do you want to use? GNOME, XFCE, LXQT, LXDE, and what was the other one? Cinnamon, or standard. I don't know. You may be like, what does any of this mean? I don't know. Come on. I'm here to help you guys. So, this kind of depends on your computer and you. If you have a high-end computer that will run pretty much anything, like a gaming PC, then you can pretty much choose whatever desktop environment fits your needs. But if you have an older computer or a lower-end computer, you might want to choose one that fits yours and your computer's need. Even low-end computers that are modern low-end computers will still run these desktop environments just fine. Old high-end computers probably will. It's just the problem with old low-end computers, like a 10-year-old low-end computer, may not be able to run most of the desktop environments. It will run all of them, but some of them it will run better than others. So let's see. Let's kind of go over that, what desktop environments are, or which ones should you use and for which purpose. So, GNOME, it's spelled like a garden gnome, GNOME. GNOME is, that one, it's pretty high-tech. Why did I say high-tech? It's always, here's what I'm going to say, it's constantly being updated. It has a nice, sleek look, but it is very, well, different from most Windows users who are migrating to Linux. You might not get used to GNOME very easily. So, in case you're also wondering, GNOME is the desktop environment that Ubuntu comes with if you're using Ubuntu 18.04 or up. So, what's the other one? Well, actually, so Cinnamon, in case you're wondering, Cinnamon is much lighter than GNOME. It's lighter and smaller, but it's still a sleek, modern, innovative desktop interface. It's a little more familiar to Windows users, so you'd probably be a little more familiar to Cinnamon. If you like something with, like, I don't know, a ton of animations, cool animations, window animations, and just stuff to make your computer interface look nice, you might want to go with Cinnamon, which brings me right into the thought of KDE. Now, KDE is a little bit heavier than Cinnamon, but not as heavy as GNOME, but it features definitely the most customization, animations, and all the high-techy stuff. KDE features most of that, so you could also get KDE. Your computer's almost definitely powerful enough to run it. If it was within the last 5 years, then you should get KDE and try that out. Which brings us down to the last three: XFCE, LXDE, and LXQT. So XFCE is a fast, stable desktop environment. It comes with Slackware, and if you've ever tried out Linux Mint XFCE, it also comes. That Linux Mint XFCE obviously also comes with XFCE, so it's fast, stable. It will run on really old computers too, so that's really nice. But it doesn't have all those cutting edge technologies that KDE, Cinnamon, or GNOME might have. So a little bit of a sacrifice there, but if you don't usually care about that, then just get it. I mean, if you're willing to sacrifice it, it will give you better performance, especially on older computers. Now it leaves us with LXQT and LXDE. So LXDE is probably, I think it's considered the lightest Linux desktop environment. If you have a really, really old computer that has trouble running XFCE, if it won't even run XFCE to full speed, try LXDE. That will help you. That's probably the lightest one. It will probably make your computer run quicker. Although it's less customizable than XFCE, gets updated less, and its user interface is kind of sloppy. A little bit more sloppy than, like, XFCE is a nice user. It has like a kind of standard traditional user interface, and then LXDE is a little more scrappy. LXQT is kind of a revision of LXDE using the Qt graphics environment. I don't know. So it definitely looks a lot nicer than LXDE. It's basically a mix of LXDE and KDE. So the lightweight of LXDE, but with a little bit of that nice interface of KDE. So if you have an old computer and you want a sleek desktop environment, LXQT would probably be the best option for you. Anyway, now let's continue on. Now let's move on to reasons you should get it. we've moved all the hard stuff out of the way. Now we're going to discuss why you should get it. So, for those of you who do not like updates, for those of you who updates kill you, they're annoying and you don't want to do them, you hate when you have to update your computer all the time, then Debian is the Linux distribution for you. If you think Ubuntu or Linux Mint or other distros like them have too many constant updates, Debian is the distro for you. It's not like Slackware where it doesn't have, like Slackware I think updates in the background when it does get updates, but Debian will tell you when your updates are available. Like every Linux distribution, it will let you choose when you want to do them. More information about, like, the stuff I talked about in here, most of this relates to Linux in general. Check that out up here. Anyway, so, let's see. As I was saying, it doesn't get as many constant updates as Ubuntu, but it does still get a few updates every now and then, whereas Slackware won't notify you of any updates. I think it'll just do it in the background or something. So yeah, for those of you who don't like updates, that might be good for you. Or if you don't want any updates, you can check out Slackware. Check out this up here. Again, you can choose your desktop environment. It's open source, which you could also check out my Linux video. Click the cards up there. Check that out. I highly recommend you check out the Linux in general video before doing any other Linux video, so that you kind of get an overview of everything Linux, so that when I talk about specific distros like Debian or Ubuntu, you will be a little more familiar with what I'm saying. Anyway, but since it's open source, since Debian is open source like any other Linux distribution, bugs can get fixed faster. Anyone can contribute, so there can be new features and faster bug fixes. Although Debian, unlike Ubuntu, where they have a new release every 6 months, Debian goes with the long-term support Linux kernel. They have a new release every 2 years instead of every 6 months like Ubuntu or Linux Mint. So it doesn't progress as fast. So Ubuntu or Linux Mint might have newer features and stuff, but Debian releases are generally supported for much longer than Ubuntu and Linux Mint releases are supported for. And again, free software, just like any Linux distribution. Again, I highly encourage you to check out my Linux in general video so that you at least have an idea of what I'm talking about. You're a little more familiar with it when I'm talking about distro-specific introductions, so please be sure to check out that video. Anyway, the free software, like any Linux distribution, it comes with a software store, the Synaptic Package Manager, which is not as good, maybe not as a simple of a user interface as you'd be used to at the Ubuntu Software Center or Mint install on Linux Mint. However, you can install the Snap Store, and if you have KDE, if you have Debian KDE, it will come with KDE Discover, which is a KDE desktop environment window manager, software store for KDE, so it will come built in with that. The same thing with GNOME. If you have GNOME, it will come with that. It will come with GNOME software built in. Other distros don't have their own, other desktop environments don't have their own software store, so it will just come with the Synaptic, although you can install the Snap Store, which I will do a beginner's guide to that in the future. So yeah, hopefully you get kind of an idea of Debian from this video. Please make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell down below if you'd like to see future videos of beginner guides on this. I will do many more in the future. This is only the second, so there are many more to come. But my beginner's guide videos will help any beginner out there kind of start to get the concept of the distro they're watching or anything else related to computers, pretty much. Linux, Raspberry Pi, other stuff. I'll have beginner's guides to pretty much many things related to computers. So if you're new to all this, definitely subscribe so you don't miss out on that. I want you to understand this as much as possible. Again, this is about you. I want you to understand this. Anyway, so I'll see you next time.